Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. This talk called The Future of Fandom and Why Flag Football is Changing the Game. I'm Kate Chaundy, Associate Director at Propeller Group and co-host of the Empower podcast that's been recorded today in this session. Propeller Group is a B2B PR and growth events company, and we're the proud sponsors of the Empower space, which is looking incredible. Now, we're very pleased to be joined with Stephanie Dittmer-Rogers, who's the CMO of the San Francisco 49ers. But before we get into Stephanie, I do have to sort of address the fact that the picture that shows three faces looks a little bit different to what's actually on the stage. Louise, who was co-hosting with me, unfortunately is unable to make the session. But we've got a pretty good replacement in Propeller's senior content manager, Oliver Ellis, or Ollie. I don't know why I called him Oliver then. Very formal. Ollie. Now, Ollie, you can introduce yourself, but I think this is going to be a fun dynamic in that I'm kind of the person that maybe Stephanie is trying to, get on board as a non-NFL fan or flag football and sort of with my open mind of what it is. Ollie, who'll explain, is an Uber fan.
Yeah, so I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. Stephanie said that's okay. But as Kate kind of said, that is kind of the dynamic for any kind of sports team and any kind of brand marketer, really. You're appealing to the diehard fans, but you are also appealing to the people, the casuals, and the people who don't know you. So, I mean, it'd be great to hear from you, Stephanie, about like that kind of journey and how you do balance that line.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here. And even though we traded a 49ers fan in Louise for an Eagles fan, it's still nice to share the stage with you as well. The balance is really like you have to make sure that you're recognizing, honoring, celebrating with all of the fans that you have. And for the 49ers, we're celebrating our 80th anniversary this year. We have a massive fan base, not only in the United States, but globally. So we're constantly thinking about how are we connecting with them? How are we making sure that their fandom is seen and celebrated and they feel close to the 49ers, whether they're in Santa Clara, which is where Levi's Stadium is, our home, or they're in the UK, or they're in the UAE, or they're in Australia. On the flip side, in terms of growth, we have several growth audiences that are really important to us. The NFL in particular is really focused on kids and women and Latinos. We have very big kids, women, and Latino fan bases as well. So we're constantly trying to stretch out and reach to anybody that, like you said, is right on the cusp, right? You're very into sports. Maybe not American sports, but you're open to learning about sport. You're already kind of there. So my goal is to bring you into the fold because it's a lot easier of a connection point to you. You're like, okay, I understand the competition. And then on the flip side, it's finding people that are just sort of open to experiencing new things. Sports and entertainment in the United States is very, very different than it is in a lot of places in the world. We've got massive LED video boards and sport lighting, and it's like an actual entertainment if you're in Vegas, right? You have music and prompts and all sorts of different things. So my goal is to get you obviously into the fold however I can, wherever you are in the world. But if I get you to Levi's Stadium, I think I can win you over.
I mean, the best thing is you've now got an entire new audience to kind of appeal to as well in flag football, which really is changing the game. I mean, 20 million global players, and it's not just the diehard football fans. It's not just the people who have kind of grown up with the NFL. It's completely new audiences, and including, which I think is the biggest thing, especially when we're at Empower Cafe, is women. Yeah. 60% growth over the last couple of years. Can you tell us a little bit, kind of, what is driving that growth? Like, why is it so appealing so early on?
I think it's because girls are competitors, right? Yeah. Like, girls are athletes, and like, I feel like we all just sort of discount that in a lot of ways. But like, I grew up playing sports, and I was equally as competitive, I think, as my male counterparts. I wanted to play with the big kids, my, older brother and older cousins, and like we played just as hard. And I think this is giving girls an opportunity to enter into a sport that is so massive, especially in the United States. And some of the fun stats that we have, flag football is really important to us, but in the UAE, we've just entered there as a global market through the NFL's Global Markets program. We've partnered with one of the schools, and we're going to have over 100,000 kids learning flag football as part of their PE curriculum. And I was there when we launched it, and we had girls that were there that hadn't had an opportunity to earn a college scholarship through any other sport, that were living and breathing for the sport of flag football, because there's a lot of universities now that are bringing that on. There's even some D1 universities in the United States. So it's just opened up a total new pathway. And that's not even to point to the Olympics. In 2028, it'll be an Olympic sport. So the pathway is opened up. Girls are so fanatical about a flag football one other side note that I'll share, because this is one of my favorite stories of all time, but Steve Young, do you know him? You may not know him.
Oh, yeah.
He's an iconic quarterback for us, Hall of Famer, wonderful human being, girl dad.
Yeah.
And after he played, he sort of stepped away from the game. He wasn't a coach or anything along those lines. And his girls were in high school, and they started playing flag football when we became a sanctioned sport in the state of California. Oh, wow. And he said to me, he said, the sport was never better for me. He said, girls are so talented. They're so agile. They're so smart. They play so well. He's like, I fell back in love with the game. And he goes, I don't think I've ever loved it more than when I saw my girls playing.
Aww.
And he's like a proud coach now. I mean,
That's
Hall of
so
Famer,
nice.
proud coach of girls flag. So, yeah, it's just really amazing. I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell.
I love that, especially at the Empower Cafe. And we're seeing that a lot in football or soccer in the UK, you know, and the women's team just doing absolutely fantastically. With flag and in your position as CMO at the 49ers, are you viewing this as a new sport, or is this a new way into fandom for the 49ers?
Both, for sure, yeah. So we have a very big relationship with Leeds United. That's a team that our owner also owns. And so we have this program called Unlocking Potential. And it's meant to bring kids that don't have as many resources into sport. We know there's a lot of statistics out there about how powerful sport is in terms of development, right? It makes kids more confident. It gives you teamwork. It helps you reason. It helps you face adversity. It helps you win and realize what winning is like. It helps you understand what losing is like. So it's a very powerful teaching mechanism. And then on the flip side, as it relates to fandom, we also know that 70% of avid fans become avid fans before the age of 12, which is amazing. So for us, flag football and getting into the youth space and integrating, you know, our flag football as part of PE curriculum in the UAE, in Mexico, and in the UK, and this Unlocking Potential, it's sort of twofold. We're helping kids grow and in a way that we really believe in through a sport that we really love, and we're also hopefully creating that avidity very young.
I think you obviously touched on flag football being in the 2028 Olympics for the first time. Even though that's kind of 2 years away, are you already starting to kind of think about, well, how are we going to activate around that? How are we going to get involved and drive that fandom over the next 2 years and then beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, flag is a very big, you know, platform for us. So we're very active 24/7, 365. The Olympics is obviously very exciting because not only did it become a sanctioned sport of the state of California, it's also the fastest growing sport in the United States, and hopefully abroad as well at some point soon. And so this just gives us a little bit more of a long tail strategy where we can say, hey, from the point of when you pick up a ball when you're 2, all the way through whatever level of competitiveness that you want to get to, either through the Olympics or through college sports or through the new professional flag league that's been announced with the NFL, there's a path for you. Or if you just want to play and have fun, there's a path for you for that as well.
With the 49ers, you know, it's such an iconic club, and you will have seen fans supporting that team because they're following in the traditions of family. I mean, that's inherently one of the biggest drivers of why you support a team, and especially such an established one that will have gone through generations. How will you view sort of the next generation of fans with a new sport like flag? Like, what's your sort of marketing strategy in looking at that? Because it's not inherited now. And I guess even with the 49ers, the new ways in which people are discovering the team, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that aren't necessarily because their parents or family. It might be through the player economy now.
Yeah, it is very interesting. The sort of like generational fandom still very much exists, right? So a lot of those kids that are going to become our fans, it's because they have generational fandom as well that exists in their family, which I think is global in that sense. There are a lot of people that enter now through sports betting. There are a lot of people that enter now through the player personalities. Yeah. We're really lucky that we have a lot of very, very cool players and very cool player wives and girlfriends.
I mean, come on, the Kittles, like getting George involved.
Big personalities, really thoughtful. Christian McCaffrey, I think, is here this week as well. His wife, Olivia Culpo, she's amazing. Christian goes around and plays piano at massive concerts. So there's just a lot of really cool stories that exist. And the NFL does a wonderful job with a strategy called Helmets Off. So we're trying to get everybody around the world to really know who these people are. Brock Purdy, sweetheart, he just became a girl dad. Christian's a girl dad. So there's just a lot of synergies that exist. For us, we don't care how you come into the fandom. we just want to make sure that we're keeping you as long as we can, and that obviously requires quite a lot of, thoughtfulness and connectivity in the right ways.
And as people get into the sport in different ways, you just sort of touched on this. Are players and ex-players more willing to sort of join into that join in into that storytelling? Helping promote the sport through different ways, showing their personality maybe a bit more than they maybe would have done traditionally. Which in I don't know with NFL with sports here, it can be quite. Sometimes a bit stale, really, in terms of what comes out. They're quite inhibited because they're told to be. Whereas we just the nature of content now, we're seeing so much more behind the scenes and the colour to the personalities.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the collegiate sport landscape now in the United States, players are incentivized because they can actually make money now by showing their own personalities. And so a lot of people are starting to understand that. There's a lot of work that goes into making sure that we're capturing the personalities well, and sharing it out, because we always want to protect the guys and put their best foot forward. But I had something interesting conversation a couple weeks ago. I was in Australia because we're playing in Australia this year, first game of the season. And somebody down there was asking me about player personalities as well. And they said in Australia there's a thing called tall poppy syndrome, where basically, like, if the player becomes too sort of like proud or too, competitive, or she said arrogant, but for us it's a little bit more of just like an edgy kind of, cultural thing. And so that was very interesting to me, because in the United States we love personalities. If you don't know George Kittle, I would highly recommend you look up George Kittle. He is a character in every single way, but like an amazing person, like does a lot of charitable work, does a lot of other things, but he is just on level 11 all the time in terms of energy. So yeah, we love sharing those stories because it's going to bring somebody into the fold.
And obviously you just mentioned Australia, first regular season game in Australia. And I'm not sure if you've played in the UK before, but then you are now targeting those international markets as well. So then you've got more cultural nuances to kind of like navigate as well. So are you changing like how you approach fans, like in the US versus in UK and Australia and UAE? Like, are you having to kind of take that into account?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our strategies internationally really revolve around, competition, of course, connection. We want to make sure that we're staying connected and building community in whatever way we can, and consistency. So we're in 3 markets, so we want to be very consistent in our presence, both physically and then whatever other branding. We haven't played in the UK, but we have a very big fan base there. We go and do a big watch party in London every single year around the London Games. So selfish plug there, or shameless plug, I should say, if you're around, come see us. And I think the connection point that you're talking about, it really relies on what the knowledge is in that market. So Australia, completely sports mad, a lot of NFL fans down there, but they just love sport. They're insatiable, right? So they're going to take all of that in. London, obviously, the London Games has been there for a long time. There's a lot of knowledge around NFL football there, so we don't have to do as much education. Whereas when we went to the UAE, there was a lot more education, right? Literally, like, this is the football. This is how you hold the football. This is where your elbow needs to be if you're going to throw the football. So this is what a quarterback does, right? So there was a lot more education there. But, it all just sort of depends on the audience.
Ollie kind of hinted at this at the start, and it's not a new challenge for marketers, the ultra Uber fan and the people you're trying to convince. But how much of a challenge is that these days? And what are your ways to access, and also dealing with, is there any sort of resentment from the sort of super fans with opening the game up a bit more and trying to reach new audiences? We kind of saw this Taylor Swift effect, didn't we, for a while, where suddenly the game was on everybody's lips because, Taylor's showing up at them. But I guess that's a good thing for the sport, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the Chiefs broke our heart a few times, so... but Taylor is brilliant, and I think anything that she touches turns to gold in a lot of ways. So I love that she's brought in, way more girls into the sport, way more women into the sport. A resentment, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. How many people here are sports fans of any sport? Yeah. Like, we all love to be a little grumpy at times, right? Like, about our teams or about our sport. Like, it's just part of it. And so for me, it's just making sure that, when you are trying to reach out and extend the branch to the new fans, that you're also still very cognizant of respecting and celebrating and honoring the fandom that's existed for 80 years. So we certainly try to make it an and conversation and not a, hey, you don't matter to us, we're going for the new shiny toy over here. But yeah, I mean, as a sports fan, we all love to be a little just, spicy every now and then.
What's the biggest challenge for you at the moment in terms of reaching different audiences? Is it sort of the fragmentation of media now, and being across so many channels? Where do you direct that effort to? Where are your more established fans might be on one channel. You've got new fans trying out new technologies. That must be hard.
Yeah, definitely the fragmentation. I mean, everybody, sort of is learning through that, right, or experiences that in some way. And I think especially taking it sort of back to the point of Flag and kids and the future of fandom, like they're just inundated all the time with everything. And so how are we keeping them connected in a healthy way is something that's really important to us. So we do a lot of humorous content on our TikTok and where the primary engagement is for us. Because we want to keep it fun and we want to keep it light and we want to keep it like enjoyable, right? There's enough going on. And so we've seen a really big sort of, hold that's had on sort of that young audience. We're also doing a lot more content around flag football. So we have a production team that's now going out to film, the best plays, and we're cutting up highlights as if they were like the highlights for our guys that are on the field on Sundays. So that's been really fun too, because you see there's this, I don't know how many of you have seen this, but at least in the States, young kids will share posts of their friends. Like, they're not even in it. It's not even about them. But if their friend was featured on a post, and whatever their sports or their school, they're all sharing it, and then they share it and share it and share it. So it's a really cool, celebration, empowerment, friendship movement. So that's something that I've asked the team to start digging in on, because I think it's awesome.
We did some research with Snapchat recently where we were looking at the generational changes in how young people connect through sport. And one of them, which I found really funny, is now the large number of fans that will film themselves celebrating rather than necessarily filming the action. It's the action happens, then it's the filmed response to the action that they share with friends and family. It's become such a massive part of the connection with the community of fans.
I'm a sucker for that kind of content. I'll be honest with you. I just think it's so awesome. I saw this hilarious one. The Knicks obviously just won the NBA, and there was this guy, and he was like, his back to the TV, and his wife was trying to explain to him what was happening, and she was like, definitely not an NBA fan. And just the range of emotion on his face, I was sucked in. I think I watched 3 or 4 minutes. It was amazing. And then at the end, he's crying, I'm crying. I'm like, what just happened? I don't even watch the NBA.
I love that. But that's real, authentic storytelling, isn't it? And it's just a new way in which people are sharing their fandom.
But I suppose the interesting thing, especially for targeting Australia and the UK, without getting too political, obviously the social media bans are coming in, and obviously flag football, your flag football initiative is ages 5 to 17. In UK and Australia, it's 16 and under now. Obviously, you can't use social media. Obviously, you mentioned the watch-alongs in the UK. So do you think the physical activations now are going to become massive again, even more important?
I think so. I also think, video on demand strategy is really important for us. We also just launched a new app that is sort of our way of trying to interconnect everybody around the world. That's the main goal of it, is to develop community, or a place for community to exist outside of that sort of social ecosystem, because there are different rules as it relates to social content and targeting and things like that all over the world, right? From a privacy standpoint and whatever else. So we're really trying to be thoughtful about that. But again, it goes back to, I think, the emotional pull that sports has on all of us. And I am genuinely in my heart and soul a believer in the good that sports can provide to the world. And so I do hope and think that the watch-alongs, is that the word for them? Watch-alongs, okay. I'm just trying to learn my lingo here. And, our video on demand and just sort of the way that we're approaching content is something that is, continuing to be accessible even by the younger audiences.
Should we bring it back to flag football? Are you hopeful you're going to be able to convert a lot of your 49ers fans to that sport? And how's it going in that sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, flag has definitely had this phenomenal growth in the United States in youth sports. Like I mentioned earlier, 2023 was when it became a officially sanctioned sport in California for high school. 10,000 girls played that year. The next year they had almost 100% growth. That was 2 years in, and now we're looking at D1 universities that are adding it. So I do believe that there will be a significant growth in flag as we continue on. We actually also just launched on July 11th. We'll have our first adult flag football tournament in the Bay Area. Let's go.
Nice.
And it's sold out immediately.
Oh, wow.
Immediately we were live for, a couple hours, and it was totally packed, and people are like, when is the next one? So yeah, we're really excited about the potential. I think it's real.
I mean, that's just fantastic to hear. I mean, it clearly has a bright future. Like, what if you could like sum up what your hopes are for what flag football could become? Like, are we looking at like the next, like to rival like NHL, NBA? Like, is it going to become like a household thing, like communal viewing every weekend? Like, is that the aim?
I certainly hope so. I mean, it's a very low barrier to entry sport, right? You need literally a flag and a ball. And so I think that there is the opportunity for that to become a reality. The NFL has also sort of staked its claim, like, hey, we believe in flag football and we're going to have a professional flag league, and now it's in the Olympics and all of these things. And so I think it is going to see a groundswell very, very quickly. Anything the NFL sort of commits to, usually generally has the power that it needs to be successful. And, for us, like I've mentioned a few times, like it's just something that we're so proud of and we believe in so much, and we're looking forward to being at the forefront of that growth.
And talking about the flag football league, like, is that ever going to be every team? Is that going to be a 32 team league?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. That's just fantastic to see. Yeah. I think if we're looking to, I mean, you can't talk about flag football, I think, without focusing on 2028, because it's going to be the global spotlights on it. It's not just US. Like, that is going to be such a great platform. Like, what makes you excited for 2028? Like, why do you think it is such a good opportunity?
Well, I think it's a huge megaphone for us, right? And so that's a big opportunity that we're excited about, is just how do we take advantage of that momentum in all of these other markets. So, like, in my dream scenario, it's somebody that learned to play flag football in one of our global markets, or in our hometown in Santa Clara in the Bay Area, and ends up being on that 2028 team. Like, that would just be amazing, right? And to think about, how those dreams were facilitated through programming that, we were supporting or we were a part of, I think that would just be remarkable. So yeah, it's a huge megaphone. I know they're doing a lot of work as it relates to 2032. It's not officially locked in yet as part of the Brisbane Games, but we're hopeful for sure that, we'll see that come to life. And then obviously, as we're in Australia this year, we're going to be doing a lot of flag programming, so hopefully that'll help too.
What countries is flag big in already at the moment?
Mexico, there is a very large flag football or flag football population. We actually just launched our school programming there, 75 schools. Diana Flores, she's amazing. We have this other woman, Coach Kelly, like absolutely remarkable. She was the first, hopefully I can get this right off the top of my head, first collegiate coach, female collegiate coach of football. So just really powerful, like smart, talented people. Obviously, we have alumni that are very involved as well in Mexico. So it's a really, really big game. And then actually in the UK, there's quite a lot of kids that are playing. There's a lot of NFL teams that are active in the UK, in addition to our programming at Leeds. But thousands and thousands of kids that are competing at this point in time.
Do you think it's not just like, obviously you have your 49ers flag football program. Is it the onus on every team to kind of like drive this growth? Like, is there room for collaboration with everyone? Like, it's not just a one-horse race. It's a 32 team pulling together for growth.
Surely, yeah. And it's very similar to the way that we operate as just clubs of the league. There's a lot of initiatives that we are sort of all pulling together to push forward. And, at the end of the day, we all want all kids playing, because that's good for all of us, right? Both as the league and as brand, but also for sorry, Jack Sparrow just walked in and I lost my train of thought.
Hello,
Some
Jack.
people thought I was joking, yeah. So it's very good for us, obviously, to have as many kids around the United States playing as possible, because we also know, like selfishly from the 49ers standpoint, we have a huge fan base in the United States, about 23 million people. A lot of those people don't live in the Bay Area. They live all over, right? They became fans when Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Steve Young were playing. And so those kids playing flag football in, the southern United States or in New York that grew up 49ers fans because their parents were, they're still repping our brand. So, yeah, it's very good. I don't know if that was a cohesive answer.
No, it was. And I loved the little sign out of Jack Sparrow walking. And I kind of wanted to ask him if he played flag football.
Yeah.
Or if he was up for
should.
it. And it also just, coming back to this festival that we're at now, where many marketers are here talking about, reaching different audiences, and something like flag football for a multitude of different brands in different sectors will be appealing because of the wide audience that it's going to get. So what are the opportunities there? Because you must be thinking, wow, we can really maybe expand the partnerships that we do as we build this sport.
Yeah, this week has been amazing just because I've heard so much about fandom and sport and the power of sport as it relates to, partnerships with very big brands. And it's, I'm passionate, obviously, about talking about sport and the power of it. So it's given us a lot of good conversation. I do see, youth sports and particularly youth flag football and ours as growth engines for a lot of different brands. These kids that are playing are the same kids that are consuming all of the other, things that you are throwing in their faces at all times, or we're all throwing in their faces at all times. But there's just something unique about the tie that you have when you play sport, and it just creates much deeper connection. So that's what I'm trying to, sort of share this week with all the brands that are here thinking about how do we reach, their growth audiences via this platform. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And like on a personal note for you, like what are you most proud about like the San Francisco 49ers flag football program? Like what makes you kind of get up in the morning and go, yeah, like that's just great work we're doing?
So this year we're going to have 100,000 kids playing flag football wearing that SF 49ers logo, the San Francisco 49ers logo. It's kind of a classic, oval shape. And like it just gives me chills to think about the fact that there's going to be 100,000 kids around the world like growing through sport. It's just really powerful. I get a little bit emotional, so I'm probably not being very coherent, but I just think it's going to do a lot of good for a lot of kids. It's going to give them an opportunity they didn't have before. Or maybe they were playing a sport they didn't really love and they were going to drop out. There's this staggering statistic that, girls under the age of 14, I think, are dropping out of sports at like a 50% clip or higher. Like, that's heartbreaking. I played sports forever, not very well. That's why I work in sports and don't play now. But it's heartbreaking, right? And so if we can do anything to change that trend, that'll be something that gets me out of bed every single day.
I mean, 100%. Teaching good values, collaboration, morals, principles, fitness. It's everything.
Yeah. And I would be remiss not to just also mention, like, I'm really proud to represent the San Francisco 49ers. It is a brand that has sustained for a long period of time in the Bay Area. And just everything from the ownership to our GM, to our head coach, to our players, to our team CEO, like they're just good people. Yeah. Our foundation is the biggest foundation in all of the NFL. We give tons of money back to the Bay Area. So it's a brand that I feel unbelievably proud and humbled to represent because they do good in so many ways. And so knowing that we're doing it all the right way and for the right reasons is something that not, again, no shade to any, but like not everybody can say that, as confidently and as honestly as what, I get to say that.
Yeah, and I think that always translates, if that is the authentic side of a brand, that always translates, doesn't it, in how it makes people feel, regardless of if they support, they'll have that feeling. We've got around 10 minutes left, and I know that because I don't have a watch on or a clock, but I can see this beautiful clock tower in the distance that I can read the time of. You just mentioned, obviously, your career, and you're in this fantastic job. You're a female CMO. We're in the Empower Cafe. We want to, nod to the importance of female leadership and equality, especially in male-dominated industries like sport. And I'd love to get your take on why it's so important. I mean, I think we know why, but let's get your take on why it's so important to have these female perspectives at the top of businesses like this and what it brings.
Yeah, I feel unbelievably lucky to work for the 49ers because the leadership across all of those people that I just mentioned, Jed York, our principal owner, John Lynch, Kyle Shannon, all of them, Al Guido, they all are so supportive of women. Actually, fun anecdote, Denise DeBartolo York, who's Jed's mom, she was one of the first women to have her name on the Stanley Cup. So like it's generations deep on that front as well. I think it's really important. I think it's important to have all different types of perspectives, all different types of backgrounds, but females in male-dominated industries, in particular in sport, like we just bring a different sort of touch point. Like it's spoken about. There's a lot of empathy that exists, in most sort of female leaders. But we're competitive as heck. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be outdone by anybody in the boardroom or in another team or anything like that. So you have sort of this super fiery competitiveness, which is why you work in sports because you have a passion for it, but also this sort of softer, empathetic, more thoughtful, coming at it from a different angle. And those are soft words that sometimes people shy away from. I don't think they should be shied away from. I think they should be celebrated. So again, we're seeing a big change, a big trend shift. There's several female CMOs in the NFL. Some that are very good friends of mine. Haley Sullivan at the Broncos, she's wonderful. Laura Krug with the Chiefs, obviously, is incredible. Jen Kavanaugh with the Eagles. They're changing things around the world. So, I think having things like the Empower Cafe and all of you that are allowing us to not only share the great work that we're doing, because I think that's most fun for us, but also talk about that perspective and be proud of being a female, leader in this industry is really amazing. So thank you to the Empower Cafe for that.
No, it's a pleasure to have you here. And obviously it's the WACL Empower Cafe, and WACL do a lot. They have their 5 levers of change to really promote inclusivity in the workplace and help achieve equality. What do you think are the key factors in maintaining or producing and maintaining a workplace that is conducive of equality and making sure the right people are seen and promoted to the right positions?
I think it's all about conversation and listening, right? I was at the FQ Lounge earlier, and they had a panel about how to be the CEO, which is just like the first thing that Shelly said that, she's the CEO. She was like, say it with your chest. Like, you're a CEO. Like, that's freaking awesome. And then all the CEOs were like, yeah, I just love talking to my staff. I love learning about them as humans. I love learning about their perspectives. I want to hear, what their thoughts are on different things. I want to hear where they're coming at it. Never with any judgment, really just with open curiosity. So for me, the approach that I always try to employ is genuine curiosity, and then I try to be as transparent and vulnerable as possible. Like, I want my team to know I'm a real human so that they feel comfortable coming to the table, coming to the conversation, coming to the office as real humans as well. And I think there's just a lot of, a lot of good that comes from that, both in terms of productivity that exists in the workplace, but also team culture. You have nothing if you don't have a good team culture, and team culture comes from really knowing each other, and knowing somebody comes from really listening. So that's the way that I try to think about it.
And then, as it's a panel on flag football, I think we've got to bring it back. Personal passion point aside, what's kind of like your parting message? What do you want people to take from this? What do you want people to take about the future? Whether they're fans like me, wannabe fans that we want to try and get involved like Kate, or the people in the audience here, like, what's the message?
Yeah, I mean, again, shameless plug, like, we are very passionate about flag football. We're doing a lot in the space. We pride ourselves on being leaders in this space. So get involved. There's a lot of conversation around, supporting women's sports. Love that. Heck yeah, let's do it. But also there's a lot of girls that are playing flag football. There's a lot of kids that are playing flag football that don't have opportunity to maybe play tackle, that don't have opportunity to do anything else. So it's a very powerful sport for a lot of good things. So come talk to me. Let me know.
And it works the other way, right? As flag football grows, you're going to be trying to bring those fans over to the 49ers as well, your NFL team, and convert them, especially younger people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the trajectory of what flag is going to bring to our fandom in the next, 5 to 10 to 15 years is going to be pretty remarkable. As we said earlier, 70% of avid fans become fans before the age of 12. And there was a stat that I listened, Tim Ellis, the NFL CMO, shared yesterday, was you're 40% more likely to be a fan of a sport that you've played. So when you think about all of the scale of those numbers, and we have 100,000 kids playing this year, if we can get them for 2 years or 3 years, that's good things for our fan base, as we continue to grow. 100,000 this year, hopefully 200,000 next year.
Well, I mean, I think you've done a good job, because I think I'm converted without even watching a game.
New member of the faithful. There we go. Came all the way to Cannes just for this. I love this.
Amazing. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you on stage today, and a joy to have last minute Ollie join on the panel.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute blast, and Stephanie, you're excellent, and I can't wait to get involved in flag football somehow.
Let's go. We've got a league for you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And this has been recorded for the Empower podcast as well. So if you know someone that might have liked this conversation, it's going to be out soon as an episode, and you can share it. So thank you so much for listening.